All right, we're back. Episode 107 of the Morse Code Podcast. Dan Morse, Soapy Prep, as always. It's good to be back. I was off the last episode. Shout out Cash Fiend, did a great job at subbing in.
Great job.
Early nominee for Sixth Man of the Year award as a co-host. You guys had some good chemistry, instant chemistry.
Mm-hmm. And I'm not even a scientist. Neither is he, I don't think.
According to some of your Facebook posts, you certainly pose as a scientist based on some of your hot takes, but what are you going to do?
Yeah.
The world we live in. But no, seriously, shout out. That was a big help. And that was a great episode. If you haven't caught that one, go back and listen. Had a really fun guest on, personal chef of athletes all over the place, even here in Boston. So I assume you've changed your dietary habits drastically since that conversation.
Oh yeah, I don't eat anything that isn't prepared by a luxurious chef such as Joe Head.
That's great. Great stuff.
I actually was going to hit him up because I have a friend who wants to is having a birthday party at the end of the summer where she's renting it's weird by chance. She's like, I want to rent a cabin and also I want to hire a personal chef for one of the dinners. And I was like, I know a guy.
Are all your guests elite level athletes as well?
No, the
That'd
lowest
follow-up question. Okay.
Actually, low level and non-athletes. So just low level, regular,
unathletic, regular people.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But he might have a connect. I doubt he would do it because it's in fucking Vermont, I think. But
there's no chance he would do it. Did you ever go to Leahy Palooza a few years back? Shout out Brian Leahy.
I was not.
No, you weren't there, right? You would have hated it so much. It truly was.
Watching baseball.
Brian was watching baseball. Everyone else was, believe it or not, trying to have fun. You would have hated every second of it. Oh, boy.
Tell me more.
It Leahy Palooza is the perfect way to put it. It was just an all-encompassing 48 hours of everything Brian Leahy, our executive producer, who, to be perfectly honest with you, hasn't shown up for work in the better part of 6 months.
He's been MIA and no one's batted an eye.
No. I would argue that we've had more success since he's been MIA.
I didn't want to say it, but that's what I was inferring. Yeah.
Yeah. No, so I guess it's for our local listeners. Of course, we all live in New Hampshire at the time, specifically. He rented out a couple cabins, maybe 2 or 3 cabins in Pittsburgh, New Hampshire. So for our national listeners, not the Pittsburgh you're thinking of.
No, not Heinz Field.
No, certainly not. It was close enough to the Canadian border where Ari and I went on a hike one morning and we were in Canada at one point of the mountain. Or it wasn't a mountain, like a trail. So it was about a 4-hour drive for the majority of the guests.
This already sounds awful.
Not great. A 4-hour drive where probably 3 hours of it were so out in the middle of nowhere where there's no service. So we struggled to stream music or GPS or anything like that.
That's always a good sign.
So Ari and I had to literally just talk to each other for the better part of 3 hours. So off to a terrible start.
No, thank you.
So all guests are arriving with that same experience, just already in a shitty mood. And the guest list was great. The people there were great. No complaints there. If you were there and you're listening, I guess you would know who you are. But no, it was a few cabins. And it was one of those things where, how you see people so great to disconnect, no service, no cell phones, no anything. That was fun for about 20 minutes. And then after that, it was all right, this kind of blows. She did just walk in. I'm reminiscing on Leahy Palooza briefly. All right.
What?
I'm reminiscing on Leahy Palooza briefly.
That was a good time. Rather than the fact that I was freezing.
It was the opposite of a good time. But anyway.
We lost reception an hour in.
Yeah, not great reception. But no, we just played some drinking games and hung out. And again, this whole time I thought it was Brian's birthday. This was in June. And then I was wait a minute, Brian's birthday is not till August. So I genuinely have no idea why we're all coming together to do this. But I don't know.
I'm surprised that he had a cable signal up there to watch baseball.
Yeah, there's cable.
A loose term, I assume, for Pittsburgh, New Hampshire, cable.
Yeah, they had a handful of channels.
He's just holding up like the rabbit ears, the antenna.
Yeah, it was weird. No, there's a nice wiffle ball game. It was fun, but I don't remember how did this get brought up again? Why am I talking about this right now?
I already forgot. Oh, yeah, I'm going to a like a birthday cabin.
Oh, and got you. Yeah. So hopefully that's a lot more fun than. Well, no, actually, that's not even true. Leahy Palooza was a great time. It'd been better if Leahy didn't go. I think we can all agree on that. So if you're listening, if you're listening and want to organize a Leahy Palooza, but you aren't Brian Leahy, hit our DMs, hit us in the show notes, and we'll make that happen because that sounds like a really good time. Yeah, and that includes Lauren Leahy and all Leahy's kids. They're more than welcome to come. Mm-hmm. Just no Brian. A Leahy-less Palooza 2021 would be a good time.
I think Arthur Leahy would be welcome. And Mama Leahy.
But Brian. ABB. Anyone but Brian is more than welcome to come. But anyway, let's get into the show. Speaking of ABB, ABC, anyone but Cam. Let's start with the draft. So since we've been gone, we did have the NFL draft. Not to be confused with the World War II draft that you so often like to go back in on and do a redraft if you could. I don't think we have time for that. No. Have you done one of those lately? Like in some of the Facebook groups you're in?
Only the lottery.
Where would cert? Okay. Just the lot, which was everyone.
Yeah.
Like if you were good enough to win World War I, you were like a late round pick for World War II.
Yeah. Gotcha. There were a lot of like last minute trades too. People moving down in the draft.
Yeah.
Very Belichickian.
So if you like lost a limb in World War I, you were like a lottery pick for World War II.
Oh yeah.
You're like, we got to get you off the board ASAP.
Yeah.
But now let's stick to the NFL draft for now.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we'll definitely see how it goes. I'll say that I don't want to dive too deep into like draft analytics and all this stuff. I'll start here. I thought that as an entertainment experience, it was a lot of fun. Like that seemed like a really, call me crazy, like new normal sporting event. There were people there. There was some excitement. As Patriots fans, it was probably the first meaningful draft in 20 years?
Mm-hmm.
Draft with any sort of buzz around it whatsoever. So that's cool. What were your thoughts on draft night in general? Any big takeaways? Anything stand out to you?
I just thought of this. Mm-hmm. And this is only because it didn't happen.
Okay. Of course.
As far as I can remember, there was no mention of like traumatic experiences or deaths.
I saw that going around. They did it. They cleaned that up a little bit this year. I think just because they got so much like Twitter buzz like last year.
That's crazy that they saw Twitter and were like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't mention like a guy getting run over, like a guy's brother getting run over. 2 days ago. Just to compare him to like, I don't know, Jameis Winston.
Maybe on arguably the greatest day of this kid's life, we shouldn't immediately show a graphic of how both his parents died in a plane crash when he was 6. I think that's fair. Yeah. That has to be the reason, right?
100%. Because that was going so viral last year.
Oh, it was, but dude, it was so bad. It was every pick. And the graphics were great because
deep.
Seriously, say it was like a wide receiver, it'd be like, you know, all-time leading receiver at like Clemson, two-time All-American, 4.0 GPA. And then a bullet would literally just sneak in, no pun intended. They'd sneak a bullet in like mother overcame a crack addiction and his dad, I don't know, was like a terrorist, or like just like the craziest things you can think of. Like, or the better ones were like the more miscellaneous ones. Like, I don't know, like all-time leading rusher at Oklahoma. His mother didn't learn to read till she was 25. His dad lost a limb in a crack deal in 1989. Also has a catch radius of 8 feet 4 inches in the red zone or something like that. But dude, it was every player, even like the not the not so obvious ones, to your point, they would find something. And I don't know how this research, who they had to talk to get these, but every player had, put it this way, every player drafted in the 2020 draft had a chip on their shoulder, whether they knew it or not, going into the NFL.
Draft analytics.
Big time, dude. Holy smokes. It's like, I don't know, because that's a good point, because obviously they didn't just do this research when the player got drafted. They had a profile for every player. So it's not like they could just stop doing it after they caught some flack after like the 5th or 6th pick. They're pretty pot committed. It's like, all right, I guess we'll just ride this one out and get roasted on Twitter. But I said this before the draft too. That's Twitter is a real double-edged sword when it comes to draft night, because it's like every draft pick is announced on Twitter like 5 minutes before it's taken. So it's like, what's the point of actually watching it? NBA, I think, is a little worse.
Yeah.
Like Woj and Shams would all drop them literally like days before.
I fucking hated that.
And for the most part, like, you know what I mean? I honestly think we knew Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson were going 1 and 2. After that, I didn't want to leak. I wanted to see what actually happened. I think Trey Lance is still considered a not a surprise, but definitely not a guarantee at 3. Jamar Chase went 4, just stuff like that. And then obviously the big thing for our local listeners as Patriots fans was the Patriots. And I don't know. They took Mac Jones at 15. Mac Jones fell to them at 15, however you want to look at it. What were your thoughts on the Mac Jones pick? Were you disappointed? Did you have any thoughts going into it? Because I know I talked a lot about Justin Fields before that day. As soon as the Bears traded up, I knew that was over. They're trading up obviously for a quarterback. I thought there was a chance they'd take someone else like Mac Jones. But I don't know. If you can take Mac Jones, I'll put it this way. Like, you had to take Mac Jones at 15. Mm-hmm. They would get roasted for doing anything else. Yeah,
agree. It was cool to see them take a quarterback, and somehow at the same time, not all that exciting, because at that point it was like, of course they're going to take it. Well, I guess not of course, but yeah, you have to. I did see an article written by DJ Bean today.
You have to take him, and of course the Patriots are going to take him, are two completely different things on draft night. So very good point. But go ahead. What did you read today?
It was just an article by DJ Bean, episode 105 guest. And he was talking about how basically let me see, what's the best way to phrase this? If the Patriots really wanted Mac Jones, and they would have traded up to like ensure that they got him at some point between picks 10 and 14. But the fact that they didn't draft, the fact that they didn't do that means that they just took him because it was like the right thing to do, but they weren't in love with him. They liked him enough.
Good point.
And he was getting buried on Twitter from people being like, why are you either against this pick, or why are you shitting on people who are happy about this pick? And he was like, well, I'm not. I'm just saying, I feel like this is pretty clear.
I think that's a really fair point.
If they had made a move to like really go get him, then you could say that. But he was the best guy. And it was almost like, what else are you going to do? Fields was off the board. And then like picks, what was it? 12, 13, and 14 didn't even need a quarterback.
Correct. Yeah. No, I think that's a really fair point. Actually, a good point. I never thought about that. But you can make the same argument that they also didn't feel that way about anyone, because they could have traded up for Fields. They could have traded up for receiver. They could have traded up to probably top 5 to get like Kyle Pitts or someone. So I don't think that's a detractor to the Patriots' relationship with Mac Jones. It means it means they weren't, and I don't think Mac Jones I don't think he really needs to be traded up for. Like, if they traded up for Mac Jones, I'll put it this way. I feel better about us taking Mac Jones at 15 than trading up for him to like 8, 9, or 10 to get him. And I also just think
the devil's advocate was like, well, why would we trade up if we were pretty confident that we were going to get him at 15 anyways?
Correct. And that's just that's just having a good feel for the draft. There's nothing wrong with that. You don't need to trade up for him if you don't have to. And they didn't have to. If they traded, let me ask you this. Like, if they switched places with the Bears and traded up to 10 or 11, whatever it was, to draft Justin Fields, I'd be okay with that too. I'd feel better about trading up for someone like Justin Fields than trading up for Mac Jones.
Definitely.
So I think Fields just had a little more hype coming into him. And again, and that's the crazy thing about the NFL. I put this in the notes too. The NFL draft is a very weird night because elite athletes have to pretend to be ecstatic about going to Detroit or Cincinnati or Chicago.
Oh, God. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, if you look at how they're going to play out this year, I think it's pretty safe to say, and again, I hope Andy Dalton's not listening, but I think it's pretty safe to say.
Hold on, let me text him before you say this.
I'll just edit it out after if he doesn't respond. Right. I don't know if Justin Fields will start day one, but I think he might have like a Tua situation. Like he'll at least start the majority of the year.
Oh yeah.
Mac Jones, I don't really know, but I think he has a similar good chance. And again, I'm not comparing Cam Newton to Andy Dalton. I don't want to disrespect Andy Dalton like that, but I do think there's a good chance Mac Jones will get playing time too. Mac Jones is in a way better position than Justin Fields, I think. I just think the Patriots are a better team, better run organization. Actually, as I'm saying this out loud, maybe not. I don't know. Like, I don't know if the Patriots are that much better than the Bears. But historically speaking, that's how a lot of this works. Like, Trevor Lawrence going to Jacksonville, he's fucked. Zach Wilson going to the Jets, like their
Trevor
ceiling
Lawrence might have Tim Tebow to throw to.
Okay, like I was saying, their ceiling over the next 2 or 3 years, I don't know. If I'm Mac Jones, even if he sits a year behind Cam, God, there's like an Odd Couple like reboot, like ready to go on CBS. Cam Newton and Mac Jones, that'll be interesting. But I don't, like I said, I have no complaints. At draft night, I was a little disappointed just because I wanted Justin Fields, but you can't knock a team for not drafting a player because he's already been drafted. You know what I mean? So it's like, all right, fine. Like, we'll take the best player available for our position. We got a quarterback, and it's going to be a competition at camp. I still think, if you ask me today, I think Cam probably starts week 1, but I think it's going to be a competition in camp, and it puts Cam on a short leash. Like, they've done way too much this offseason to start even like 500, like 3 and like 2 and 2, or like, you know what I mean? Even like 2 and 3 if Cam's not playing well, to not potentially pull the trigger. But now that I'm saying this out loud, I feel like a similar narrative people were saying for like Jarrett Stidham too, with like Cam Newton and bad Brady. So I think Jarrett Stidham if I'm Jarrett Stidham, I might consider early retirement. Like, he's so irrelevant now. It's just like, I don't even know. He is comfortably third string, no matter what happens, probably on any organization.
That would make me want to keep my job in the NFL.
Yeah, I agree. I've always agreed with that argument too. Like, a backup quarterback behind a non-injury prone starter is a pretty good gig.
What a good job that would be.
Great job. What's his name? The kid who came in for the Mahomes last year.
Chad Henne?
Chad Henne. Great gig. Yep. Matt Schaub, Chase Daniels. It was Fitzpatrick for a while till he just started starting games and winning games.
Yep.
That's a great deal. Hey, are you good with a clipboard? Do you know how to operate one of those single ear headphone pieces?
Yeah.
And if our starter literally gets like decapitated, can you go in with no expectations to do well and just literally take snaps?
Yeah. What do you look like on the sideline?
$10 million a year. Yeah. How do you look in a fitted hat? Can you hold a clipboard?
Mm-hmm.
And can you literally take a snap, hand it off, and maybe complete 40 to 45% of your passes? If he checks all the boxes, we're going to pay you $10 to $12 million a year. And if we win, you get a ring. Like, it's not a bad gig.
You do have to play catch with the actual starter, like especially in the fourth quarter. So you better look good on camera. Like before Brady comes in, had to play like long toss with Brian Hoyer.
That stinks. Like, go play catch with somebody else. I got a game to prepare for.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one. That's just like, you're just an absolute pawn in those like Sunday Night Football clips. Brady looking great, throwing to a clearly like uninterested Jimmy Garoppolo on the sideline. Like, all right, Tom, you've been doing this for like 18 years. I think you're good to just go play. You know, you don't need to do this with me right now.
You've been playing this whole game. I don't think you need to stretch your arm out. I think you're loose.
Yeah.
You just came off the field.
Yeah.
You just threw a pick and we got the ball back.
Yeah, not great.
Wait, any chips on Mac Jones's shoulder, by the way? Any
I don't know. Trying to think. I
really wish we had gotten some of that, to be honest.
Some of it. Seriously, me too. Like there was none. Like they just totally abolished it.
Like he runs a fucking 4.4 40, gets off the line like a young Calvin Johnson. And his dad committed suicide after his dad got eaten by like a crocodile.
Yeah. Yep. He used to have to take a cab to practice because his mom was paralyzed from the neck down and his dad was blind. So he'll be the first one in, last one out. Just because that's how public transportation works in the city he was just drafted to.
He was born with a deformity where he actually has chips in his shoulders.
There's a vaccine joke somewhere in there, but I don't have the effort to put it together. Oh, maybe we'll get to that later. Big news in vaccination world today. The cup, if you believe in the person who benefits the most from administering the vaccine and implanting chips in people.
Oh,
and yes, big time. But back to the draft. Let's talk about the fun part of the draft. Draft Twitter and some of the things that went viral. My favorite. Oh, actually, before that, I guess this kind of relates. But back to Mac Jones. Some nice pictures of Mac Jones released without a shirt on. Very Tom Brady-esque. Very weird looking upper body. Just looks like a regular guy. He actually looks like one of the people you described who might attend that birthday party in Vermont later this year.
Yeah. A low end athlete.
Yeah. Bottom of the barrel. What are you going to do?
I thought he made Brady's picture look normal. He made 1999 Tom Brady looked way more athletic than I ever thought. Because Mac Jones actually has like moobs, like man boobs.
Yeah. Very weird looking chest. No hair. He has like a boy chest. He has a husky boy's chest.
And then a husky boy's like belly.
Yeah, he doesn't look very athletic, but
he looks like a prime Chris Nagel. I don't know if he listens to this show, but that's actually the first person that I thought of. I was like, that looks, especially like nipple wise, looked exactly like Nagel.
Yeah, I can see that comparative. I think they made that comparative on draft night, actually. Mel Kiper dove into that one pretty hard.
Tail of the tape.
Yeah. I think the Zach Wilson clip is probably my favorite one that went viral. Zach Wilson, like around, I don't know, Jalen Waddle, Justin Fields, who else? A couple other guys. And the caption wasn't completely accurate, but it was like, you know, the caption alluded to like guys around him throwing gang signs, which I don't think they were. I think they were just being cool people. And Zach Wilson looked like he was on Jupiter for like the majority of what to do. Very uncomfortable. And I get it. You know, being a fellow white guy who interacts with people of all different races and backgrounds, sometimes you just don't know what to do when you feel uncomfortable. And Zach Wilson took what I thought was a pretty normal scenario and made it incredibly awkward and uncomfortable. And I don't know who got that clip, but they nailed it. Quick like zoom in, just looking around like, and the first thing that came to thought was like an inner monologue of like, oh boy, what did I just get myself into? And then Twitter had their way with it, but I don't know. Any other draft day viral video, funny things that stood out to you?
That's probably the biggest one. I'll let you bring up the other one, but I thought that one was that one was so good because he also, as young as he is, he also just looks very facially young.
Bro, he's 13.
Baby face.
Zach Wilson is 13. Zach Wilson is like, and you've seen this tweeted around all the time too. It's like Zach Wilson literally looks like a Disney Channel, like a football player you would cast in a Disney Channel original movie about football. Like, I don't know if we have Jets fans who listen. I cannot be confident in that kid as like the future of my program.
He looked like he was waiting to ask for their autographs.
he did not look like the second player taken in an NFL draft. I don't know, man. Trey Lance looks like a football player. Justin Field, I think Trevor Lawrence looks goofy as hell too, but I just know he can play. Zach Wilson, like, I think Trevor Lawrence might look goofier than Zach Wilson. Yeah. Like, if you didn't know what he did, who he was, you just saw like his headshot, I would not peg him as what people are calling like the first. A lot of people are calling him the first, like, no doubt prospect, like since like Andrew Luck and like those guys, where it's like there's no questions asked. This is the best player in the draft. He's going to turn around the Jacksonville Jaguars. Here he is. I don't know. And he can ball. Like, I watched him at Clemson. He's great. I think he'll have a good career once his 4-year contract's done and he can request a trade. But Zach Wilson, I don't know. I'll put it this way. As a Patriots fan, Zach Wilson doesn't scare me 2 times a year. No. And we faced Flacco last year. Was it Flacco twice last year when we played the Jets?
I don't remember.
Was it Flacco? Who started for the fucking Jets last? Oh, Darnold.
Oh, yeah.
Why do I think Flacco? Was Flacco on the Jets last year? He was, right?
I thought he was.
I think he played the first time. No, I think the first time I'm pretty sure it was Flacco, because I remember we recorded. It was that night going into that game. Joe Flacco had the chance to pass Joe Montana for all-time passing yards leaders. And that's when I just said that NFL stats don't matter. And I don't care to read them anymore. But I don't know. Either way, and I wasn't really terrified by Sam Darnold either, but I think Zach Wilson comfortably is probably the worst starting quarterback in the AFC East. I'm trying to think.
You sure about that?
There's that's a good point. It depends who starts in Foxborough. But we'll see. I don't know. Those little kids can sometimes come out and ball and surprise everyone. Like I said, Trey Lance looks like he's ready to go. I think the only real bona fide day one starter is probably Trevor Lawrence. Maybe Zach Wilson. I don't know who else is there. Yeah, Zach Wilson, because they traded Darnold. Trey Lance will compete with Jimmy unless they trade him. Mac Jones will compete. According to the Bears, Justin Fields will compete with Andy Dalton. Who was the other quarterback? And then there were just like some second and third round quarterbacks taken. But anyway, there was that one. And then there's another one I thought of before, the one I put in the show notes. The Jalen Waddle clip is great. Like, DJ Bean tweeted about this too. When Jalen Waddle was announced, literally stands up, like takes half a glance at his family and then just beelines it like out to the stage.
Yeah, it's nice knowing you. Thanks for the memories.
Yeah, I'm good. Like, keep your hands in your pockets. I'm going to Miami and I'm going to party with Tua. And
his mom goes to hug him and he's like, 6 feet. Put your mask on.
Puts the mask on. Please out. That was a good one. And then the best one. And again, I don't even know. I didn't even bother to look up the context around this. All I needed was some tweets and a picture. Was Miles Garrett's suit. That was an interesting look. That guy is enormous. He's literally built like the Michelin Man, but like 6% body fat.
Remember that video that came out of him playing like a pickup basketball game a couple months back?
Sure do.
And he was drop stepping into like tomahawk dunks.
He would be a top 5 pick in the NBA draft any year.
I was like the closest person in the NBA to his physique, maybe Miles Bridges. And then I was like, and he's still probably 45 pounds bigger than Miles Bridges.
Oh, I don't even know who I would compare to him, which is fair. There shouldn't be anyone in the NBA who looks like Miles Garrett.
Right.
But maybe like a
Semi.
No, I was thinking all time at this point. Maybe like mid 90s Patrick Ewing or like Larry Johnson. Maybe
Karl Malone.
Like yeah, Karl Malone was pretty ripped. Maybe like a three-peat like Shaq on the Lakers. Because there were videos of Shaq. Like, when did Shaq get fat? Like Phoenix, late Miami, early Phoenix.
End of Miami into Phoenix.
Yeah, there were clips of Shaq as a Laker like flexing, and like he was like, he wasn't fat. He wasn't skinny. Like, he was big. He was big and ripped, which from what I've heard is a pretty good place to be on like the big and ripped scale. Because even like early Shaq, like LSU and like early Orlando Shaq, those might have been his peak like athletic days. He was fast getting up the court. But he went to LA and got big, but still could flex. And then, yeah, to your point, late Miami was the real transition to Shaq. And then he went, Phoenix, and then Cleveland, and then Boston?
Yep.
There's another one in there, right? Or no, is that it? Phoenix, Cleveland, Boston. Maybe he retired in Boston, right? That was his last run.
Yeah.
Did he play? He played with LeBron in Cleveland at all?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, obviously. If it was before Boston. I still feel like Phoenix Shaq put up numbers, though.
He did.
Okay. Like he was an all-star in Phoenix?
Yeah, I think he split the MVP, the All-Star game MVP with Kobe.
Oh, I thought you were going to say with the other half of his body. They had to split it up into two. But yeah, Miles Garrett, I don't know. I don't know if we have any product codes left for a local tailor, but a couple centimeters in the inseams might do you well.
I was gonna say, he should go back to like wearing suits with shoulder pads because he was looking a little skinny.
Yes, sure was.
He could use the definition.
So Shaq made an all-star team his second year in Phoenix, 08-09, at age 36.
Yeah, so that must be the
17 and 8.5. Not bad. And that was, like I said, that was the second year in Phoenix. That was his third to last year in the league. Like, that was Fat Shaq. Big time. Big time. He didn't make, oh no, my bad. He made all-star teams in Miami. Let's get his Miami numbers here. I feel like Miami Shaq gets slept on a little bit.
Didn't he put up like 23 in his first season with them?
Yeah, his career in Miami, he was 20-9. That first season in Miami, that first year they won the ring, right?
Second year.
Next year, yeah, 04-05 was Pistons. Or no, 04-05. Was he on the Lakers when they lost to the Pistons?
Yeah, that was 03.
Who won the next year? Dallas? San Antonio?
Yep.
Anytime the Lakers don't win, I just assume the Spurs won that year.
I was about to say, if you just look at like early 2000s and you don't know who won, it was probably the Spurs.
Yep.
That's crazy that they won 5 titles and they pretty much get slept on.
They won 5 titles and nobody remembers a single one.
Everyone hates the finals that they made it to and won.
I don't know if I'm on the other side of that argument. I mean, I feel like they won 5 rings without a single memorable finals. Their most memorable finals is probably the one they lost to Miami with the Ray Allen shot. Anyway, yeah, his first year in Miami, he did 23 and 10.5.
That's pretty good.
Some would argue not bad. And then won a ring the next year. And then released Kobe Tell Me How My Ass Tastes. And then won another All-Star game. Or won another All-Star team. Yeah, I'm trying to think. So that's a really good way to put it. Like, they were the filler team. Like, they were a dynasty. But they'd only win like every few years. They never had like a big string of like titles.
Right.
They were the filler year, right? They beat the Nets after the three-peat. Yep. And then it went Detroit, Miami, other guys got involved. Then they beat LeBron's team. And then it was Celtics and Lakers did their thing.
And then they fucking came back and got into it with the Heat 2 seasons in a row, 1-1. Well, lost one, then won the second one. Oh, yeah, okay. So because their first one was at the end of the 90s.
Old one with the Knicks, right? Yeah.
And then there was one, the most slept on one.
I don't remember it.
They played the fucking Pistons in 05, I'm pretty sure.
100%. Nobody remembers that finals.
Yeah.
I didn't until you just mentioned it. Yeah, I don't know.
Had to have been the most defensive, non-offensive finals in the history of the league.
So Pistons Spurs, when was that? After
sure it was 05.
The Cavs? Oh, so before the Cavs. Yeah, okay. So after the Miami one.
No, it was a season before.
Oh, my bad.
One. So Pistons Spurs was 05, okay. And then Miami Dallas was 06. Then Cleveland San Antonio was 07.
Oh, I see. That's right. So it went Spurs Nets and then Pistons Lakers.
Yep.
And then is that where Miami Detroit was, between that and Miami Dallas?
No, then it's Pistons Spurs, the one we're talking about.
That's definitely the most slept on finals ever.
Yeah.
Holy Christ. I bet like if you told me to like name all the finals the last 20 years, that would definitely be the last one I name.
I would have to think that like anytime the league office or Adam Silver or whatever gets some sort of memo about, hey, we're calling too many fouls, like offense is going up a little too much. He's like, I don't know about you guys, but did you happen to see 2005? Because that's why we are where we are right now. Like we never
need a little less of this.
We don't ever want to have a finals game end 78-72.
I don't want my leading scorer in the finals to be Manu Ginobili with 19 points and 6 assists.
Dude,
I can't stress this enough. You know, it's like when you get in like a sales meeting like at the end of the week, it's like, all right, guys, like we're rolling out some new products, and I just want to stress this again. We can't do this and that. Like I never want to see this again. Like, you need to start holding yourselves accountable. They just have a picture of Manu Ginobili with like the red cross through him. Never again do we is this the peak of offensive efficiency in my company.
I stumbled across a video on Twitter fairly recently. I think it was 03 of it was Nets and Pistons in the playoffs.
Oh God.
And the highlight was Jason Kidd hitting a jumper to like win the game.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the score was like 74-72.
Halftime of the Celtics Blazers the other day.
Yeah, exactly.
The highlight was Kerry Kittles posting up Bruce Bowen in like the third quarter.
The highlight was just Rip Hamilton running around screens and then like hitting the front rim.
Oh man, it's like I remember like back when SportsCenter was SportsCenter, they would do like they'd have the top 10 plays of the day, but they'd often do like a top 10 plays of like a series or like the finals or something like that too. And it'd be like seriously like number 4, Rip Hamilton coming off the screen and hitting like a pull-up jumper with like 6 minutes left in the third quarter to put the Pistons up 49-43 or something like that.
Yeah,
and
a
that
chest
was
pass
like
from like a chest pass from like Lucius Harris back to Jason Kidd.
Number 3 was Rip Hamilton airing out his mask at the free throw line. Oh God, those were some days. And the aesthetics didn't make it any better. Like, can you think of an uglier aesthetic series than Nets Spurs in like 2004? Like those gray silver satin jerseys versus just black jerseys on a black court. Nets was even worse. Oh boy, those were the dark days.
Remember how speaking of dark, like literally dark the arena was where New Jersey used to play?
Like shit. Yeah.
That arena is like, we know that you guys are situated right next to a fucking New Jersey swamp, but you don't need to take that theme indoors.
Yeah.
That place looked like a fucking shithole. Continental Airlines Arena. Yeah, that place is terrible. I don't even think that I could have sworn that they weren't selling out even during the playoffs, which is crazy to me.
I don't know. I didn't buy a ticket personally. I can only speak to that. The most frustrating part is like watching the playoffs. It's like, okay, we have all these cool teams. Like we could have like Lakers, Sixers, or like Kings, Pacers, or something like that. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, fucking Nets, Spurs, Tim Duncan versus Kenyon Martin on the poster. Like, what are we going to do? A young Tony Parker versus an old Jason Kidd just getting his ass run out of the building every night. Like, this is really what we're tuning into at 8:30 p.m. on a Wednesday. Not great. But I actually might have to go back and watch that Pistons series. Did Manu win a finals MVP? I really thought he did. Duncan didn't win all of them. So it must have been him, Parker, or Manu.
I'm pretty confident that Tony Parker won at least one of them. I don't know about Manu.
That must have been long hair Manu then.
Yeah.
One of the, God, what a weird looking guy. What an odd looking man. Like, that has to be the most like underwhelming big three like of all time. Tim Duncan, who's just literally who's a cardboard cutout. Tony Parker, who's maybe the most forgettable. If he did win a finals MVP, it's probably the most, outside of Andre Iguodala, maybe the most like forgotten about or less known finals MVP. And then Manu Ginobili. I don't know. Having a big three with 3 different languages 3 different first languages isn't interesting. That might be a fun little trivia fact.
4 different languages, because apparently Tony Parker spoke the language of love even with his teammates' wives.
Sure did.
I've heard.
Not to mention had a smoke show celebrity wife the whole time too. But
okay, let's not demean women on the show.
What are you gonna do? Anyway, so yeah, Miles Garrett had a really tight suit at the NBA draft, which led to a lot of funny hijinks. Let's shift into this real quick before we go. Do you want to go Celtics? I know you had some thoughts on the recent Celtics. Since I've been on last, I mean, playing fun, nice comeback win against San Antonio. Interesting, deceiving 10-point loss to Portland yesterday. I think the biggest takeaway is that they're in the play-in seed right now. Granted, I know they're only a couple games out of having, which is crazy that tonight they could be in a play-in tournament, and 2 days from now, I think could have home court advantage in a first-round playoff series. But I don't know. I know you had some thoughts on the Celtics lately. Where did you want to go with this? Boston Celtics Basketball Club.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. LLC.
I'll save my thoughts on the Irish Celtic band that I'm a fan of for my Facebook group.
Appreciate that.
Let's see. Where do I want to take this? I actually think that the role players, mainly Aaron Nesmith, have played pretty well.
Yeah, he's coming out.
Very, very nice to see. Anyone who thinks that we're just negative or whatever.
No, it's nice to see a competent player come off the bench.
Yeah. Pritchard, I think, has caught his second win. I feel like he sort of hit a rookie wall at some point.
Yeah.
And then I think he plays with confidence. Gorman says this all the time, that he almost always hits his first shot of the game, which is a weird but impressive thing. Because I feel like, especially coming off the bench, you're cold, you're a rookie.
Sure.
You don't know when your shots are coming. But
sure don't.
Between the two of them, that's been nice to see. And yet at the same time, we haven't seen Jabari Parker. We haven't seen Semi. And I'm not saying I have a problem with any of this.
I forgot about Jabari Parker.
Grant Williams.
Fine with that.
Who else?
It's addition by subtraction. I'd rather lose by 10 and not have to watch Grant Williams than win by 30.
Oh, yeah.
And watch him somehow win by 30 and have Grant Williams have a minus 50 on the court.
But yeah, Grant Shackton Williams.
Good grief. Oh, boy, he's got to go. What's his contract situation? Is he still on his rookie deal, I assume?
Yeah. So this is his was he a rookie last year?
No.
Yeah, he was.
Oh, yeah, he was.
With Langford.
Oh, we're not even close to the end. No end in sight.
The thing that I put in the show notes.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting for the second time this year that Mike Gorman went on, he does the weekly thing with Toucher and Rich on 98.5.
Sure does.
And basically said, he didn't think that Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are good leaders, or that they would be able to lead this team.
Right.
Which, the statement is one thing, whether or not you agree with it. My point is that it's really weird for him to say that, because usually anyone who works on fucking NBC Boston is pumping the tires of the team.
Sure.
And this is the second time this year that he's come out and said that. And also, he specifically said on the previous interview, he's like Brad Stevens isn't the one to blame for this. So it's weird. Mike Gorman has never struck me as the kind of guy that would be really overtly pushing an agenda.
Yeah.
But it does feel like that a little bit. And
a little bit.
I don't know. It's really out of place for anyone who works for that network, which
it is.
I totally get why they have to be positive.
Right. And I'm trying to think, has he had a narrative like this in the past when they actually weren't good? I think it has a lot to do with expectations too. I think he's at this point just hey, this. And again, we can talk about, and I do agree, I think they've been a little more exciting and a little more optimism around them the last, pretty much ever since the OKC loss, which has really only been has it just been the 2 games since then?
I think so.
That OKC game feels like a month ago, but I guess you're right.
Thank God.
And really, that Spurs game was going down a very similar path for a majority of that game. And then Portland, I mean, I don't really want to. We can talk about the call, the the goaltend, and then Marcus Smart's flagrant. I don't give a shit about Marcus Smart anymore. I don't know. I do think that was a big turning point, that offensive interference on Tristan Thompson on the putback. But it just is what it is. I mean, it's a call. It goes the other way. I mean, it led to a 10-point loss. That kind of blows. But yeah, to Mike Gorman's point, I think he might be in a different stratosphere than some of those other NBC Boston guys, which I agree. It does seem a little, I guess, superficial or artificial rather, with like some of the, how they promote the team and stuff. And I don't know. I mean, do you agree with Mike Gorman and what he's been saying? I do to an extent, but that's a tough argument to put on like two, early 20-year-old kids. Like, here's you're not the solution. They're never going to win with you. That does kind of stink. Yeah.
Here's the thing. Let's say, and this isn't going to happen, but let's say they bring in a third player who maybe statistically isn't as good as Jalen and Jason, but is more vocal. And just to play the example out, if they started winning and they became like a true contender, I feel like at that point, people would then forget about this conversation and be like, see, you can win with Jalen and Jason leading you. Yeah. When really you could be like, well, was it them or was it the addition of this third person? So I don't even know. Like, I don't think they're necessarily there. I don't think they're going to be a serious contender until they can get shooters around them. Cause I don't know how you can win with being this ISO heavy if the guys around you that you occasionally pass to is Grant Williams and Taco Fall. But that's why I'm like,
we need Tatum to average 60.
Yeah.
He's done it. He's averaged 60
over the course of one game.
He's done it. So quite frankly, like, I don't want to sound like Leahy, but like, do a little homework before we come on the air.
Dude,
it has happened.
It was pretty
Not for
funny.
Nothing. They're 1-0 when he drops 60 points.
All right, Adam Jones. It was pretty funny. I saw him win the Eastern Conference Player of the Week, and they did like the breakdown of it was him and Devin Booker, and they showed your stats and your record. Booker was something like, I don't know, 28 points a game. Suns have gone 4-0 over that week. Tatum's was 43 points a game over the past 4 games. 2-2.
Yeah, not bad. I don't know. Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I think I'm not like punting this season. Like, I'm excited for the playoffs. I'd like to avoid this goddamn play-in round at all costs. I'd like to at least know I have at least at a minimum 4 playoff games to enjoy. That's a strong word, to watch. Definitely won't enjoy them. But yeah, I'm with you. I think there's definitely, you can make an argument they need another piece, but it doesn't mean that I think Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum can be the best players on the team and win a championship. They need a team around them. They need shooters. They could use a veteran third guy, which I think was supposed to be Kemba Walker. It's just hard. He just can't. It's hard to buy into a guy who can't play back-to-backs. You know what I mean? And is so streaky. So I don't even know who that option is. Is there anyone you were thinking of who's a viable option to do that?
No, I don't see how this team can come back much differently next year because they're pretty much like stuck with the team that they have. I think they need to sign Evan Fournier. Like, he's only here contractually, I'm pretty sure, through the end of this season. Yeah. So they need to like re-sign him. Hopefully, like with COVID and with another season under his belt, he'd be a more consistent option. The improvement in Pritchard.
I would give Evan Fournier as many vaccine shots as his little body can take.
Yeah.
I'd like to,
I'd give him some hair plugs too. The guy needs to shave his head. He's not looking great. Figure something out.
Pick one or he can't ride the fence another year.
Because remember when didn't he used to have a ponytail?
Get off the pot. Yeah, he's been a weird looking guy for a minute.
Dude, remember? I remember this because we were at your house in Maine. What's your full address again?
I'll put it in the show notes.
But what the hell is that guy from? Oh, Alfred Payton. Me, you, and Ari. That's who you're gonna say. That's the most ridiculous hair I've ever seen.
Flop top, yeah.
Like it looks like legit Gerald, had a canopy over his head.
Yeah, he looks like Gerald from Hey Arnold. Like if his hair just like fell over like forward.
Yeah, if
over
it was
his head.
just too heavy.
How long did he doesn't wear his hair like that anymore, or he hasn't for a while. I think he eventually just like shaved it.
Yeah.
Got a haircut.
Like he's unrecognizable now.
Not great. Killed all his marketing in one snip. But yeah, Alfred Payton, that was a good look.
Story of my life.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't know what they do. It's like I said, I mean, I think a funny narrative today is that, them and the Lakers are in serious potential to be in the play-in tournament or the play-in, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. Like, I wouldn't be thrilled at the idea to have to win a game against Chicago or who else is there? Like Charlotte and who else? I just saw
Miami's around there.
Miami. I don't want to play Miami. So 7, 8, 9, 10 right now is Boston, Charlotte, Indy, Washington. I don't want to play a must-win game against Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal.
No.
I don't want to play a must-win game against the Pacers or Charlotte or Chicago or honestly anybody. I really don't want to be in a one-and-done situation. Well, they'd have to lose 2 games, but still, like, I want nothing to do with that. I just think that's a terrible, like, that can't be a good, like, confidence booster going into the playoffs. Like, all right, we're in the playoffs, kind of. We just have to beat the Wizards to prove that we belong here. Nah, Russ would eat that alive and drop like a 50, 20, and 15 easily. No questions asked.
I was going to say,
and then have a killer post-game press conference after. Oh, and Beal would drop 60. So that's 100 points right there before anyone else touches the ball. You talk about chip on your shoulder and holes to dig out of and dirt on your shoulder. That's a tough out. Nobody wants to see the fact. I think this is hilarious. The fact that the Washington Wizards have a statistical chance to make the NBA Finals is hysterical. Like, I remember, was it like not weeks ago they had the worst record in the NBA? It seems like they were like the laughing stock of the league.
Yeah. They ripped off their longest winning streak in like 10 years. I couldn't believe it.
4? Something
like that. And we're still like 10 games under 500.
I think you need to abolish the Eastern Conference. Like, you need to burn it down and start over. And going back to like that Adam Silver thing, just be like, guys, like, this is not acceptable. We can't have this. We can't have a team under 500 hosting a playoff game. we can't have the New York Knicks hosting a playoff game. I can't have it. Like, this is unacceptable.
This is bad for business, guys.
I'm getting texts about Julius Randle for MVP. Like, I can't have this in my business. I can't have this in my organization. Like, if this was the WWE, this was Vince McMahon. Like, listen, like, somebody's mother is going through a table. I don't know how else to get the point across. I can't have this in my company.
I think coaches would have to suit up.
Oh, boy.
He'd have Stan Van Gundy suiting up for the Pelicans.
Who do you think's the best, like, coach player in the league right now?
It just came to my head, so it's pretty easy. I was going to say Doc.
Really? A little old, no? No, like currently. Not like the best player who would coach. Like if a coach had to suit up today.
Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe Ty Lue. Oh, Luke Walton.
You think?
I think so.
Yeah. He's probably the youngest.
He's big enough where
most
like,
recent.
Not being athletic. I would say Brad is up there, but he's too short.
It becomes a conversation of like who can literally go up and down the court. So Brad is in that camp. Ty Lue, obviously. Luke Walton's a good one. Stan Van Gundy, I don't think. So.
Who's the
Tibbs?
The Suns coach? Monty Williams.
Oh yeah,
could at least get up and down the court.
Oh, this is a no-brainer.
Oh,
Steve Nash.
Yeah,
obviously. So it should be like everyone besides Steve Nash. Steve Nash is so close to being a player that I forget he's a coach. But yeah, Steve Nash could. I bet Steve Nash could average 10.
I could see it. Yeah,
easily.
If he was just strictly a spot-up shooter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
or even like maybe points isn't the best way to put it. Like comparison to his like stats. Like I bet he could still get off 7 or 8 dimes a game easily, especially if he played for his team, the Nets, easily.
I think if you gave any coach 15 minutes of playing time, he'd do the best with it.
Great question. Great question. Yeah, I think
Thank you.
Steve, he would lead all coaches in PER easily.
Yep.
CER, coach efficiency rating, off the charts. But yeah, I really don't have any other takes on that at this point. Like with the Celtics, it's like I guess we can still cling on to the ceiling of the 4 seed. There's like 6 or 7 games left in the season. Great. I don't know. I won't really put much stock into it until if they can get through the first round. If they look good in a first round series and get through, we'll see. At this point, there's just other more interesting narratives in the NBA that I'd probably cling on to more. I'd like to see what Brooklyn does. I'd like to see what happens to the Lakers. The Lakers are in a play-in series. Oh, that's the other one that came out this week or today. LeBron like bitching about the play-in round, which is hilarious. But at the same time, it's like, yes, when you build a team based on 2 superstars, it typically doesn't work if both superstars are on IR for like 3 months. Mm-hmm. Like when you have Dennis Schroeder as your graphic for NBA on ABC, that's probably not a great stat. I don't know. I think Schroeder's got hurt today too, or he's going to be out for a little bit. So it's basically Anthony Davis and Alex Caruso. Like if they had to make an NBA Jam t-shirt today, it'd probably be Anthony Davis and Alex Caruso. Not what I would chalk up as a winning formula.
Yeah. This stuff with LeBron is so funny. Like the fucking
he's a great players advocate. He's a great voice of the players. Unless it is something that could potentially hurt him.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure you saw it going around. He had the quote last year, like, yeah, I think a play-in idea is great. Fuck it. Let them all play out for the last round. And then this year, I believe the direct quote was, whoever came up with this idea should be fired, which is a fire quote alert. But it's like, well, I don't know who came up with it, but the fact that you supported it, I think helped carry it over to this year. If he said this last year, this certainly wouldn't be a thing this year. We said this last year when we were talking about going in the bubble. Like the league follows LeBron. LeBron supported the bubble, so they did the bubble. LeBron was in favor of a play-in round because at the time he was the 1 seed. If LeBron likes it, so do we.
Yeah, it's not talked about enough. Like, not to get spicy with this, but there were plenty of people, obviously, that didn't want to play in the bubble. LeBron was one of the people who wanted it to happen. And I'm not even trying to be funny at this point, but
oh, no, it's not. That's not hyperbole. If LeBron was like, I'm not doing this, we're not doing this.
I'm pretty sure it was verbally like acknowledged that like, yeah, he wants to do this and whatever. So it's like the NBA always tries to make it seem like, yeah, he's one of the supporters, not, oh, well, he's the guy like controlling this whole fucking thing, realistically.
Well, last year it was Kyrie was the first notable name to come out and say, maybe this isn't a great idea. It had the little private Zoom meetings. If LeBron had any, was on board with that at all, it'd be done by the next day. Like, we'll see you guys in 2021. That's it. LeBron doesn't want to come, so no one's going to watch.
And obviously it was because he knew he had a good chance to win because his team was playing really well, yada, yada. Correct. Now he doesn't want to play in a play-in game because his team fucking blows.
Stinks.
And he's injured. Which that's another thing that he's catching flack for.
He's an old man.
I don't even know how many years he's been in the league or how many kids he has.
I remember an old, I think it was like an old mixtape episode when they're talking about like NBA like MVP narratives, and like Tyler or whoever it was just kept going back like, he's 35 years old, mind you. This is year 17. I think one of the greatest like underplayed narratives of LeBron is #WaskedKing. that he started. Like no one came up with washed king except him, which is now somehow like you can't make your own chip on your shoulder. I think that should be like the baseline. Be like, you know what? Like I'm washed. Oh, you want to call me washed? Fuck it, washed king.
LeBron Mayfield.
Yeah, seriously. No, we just think you're a really good player, probably the best player in the NBA. Oh, okay, so now I'm washed. How about this? Washed king coming back. Got you. Okay, whatever, LeBron. Like, sounds great. Whatever. I don't know.
Go read the fucking cover of The Godfather again. Go read the epilogue of the Godfather.
Bro, that might be my favorite LeBron narrative of all time. LeBron and The Godfather. Oh my, those were so. I know we talked about this on the show before, but those, like, the photos that, like, candid photos that he probably had someone take 20 pictures of, and he handpicked the best one. LeBron reading The Godfather, LeBron being caught with wine. And then there was the phase, I think it was last year of Cleveland, when he had like his little like satchel or like mini suitcase / man purse that he would carry everywhere.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like, oh man, he is just such an interesting character. I'll give
That's
him
one of my
He's
favorite
an
gifts.
Interesting character. Him leaving the press conference.
Yeah.
So good.
Because
It really is.
correct
so
me if I'm
great.
wrong, but that was when he bought the same suit for everyone, because it was the playoffs, and he bought everyone the same gray suit for camaraderie. And I'm pretty sure that they were suits with short pants.
Sure were.
So
His
he
was,
looked
at least.
even more ridiculous. He had the shades on. He was carrying the suitcase.
Yeah, I believe like the order was, do you remember what the question was that like set him off?
I don't, but it was asked by someone at ESPN who's
Was
like
it the Warriors
kind
finals?
of a troll.
His last year with the Cavs finals?
Yeah, 18.
Okay. Yeah, so obviously already not in a great mood because his team fucking stunk. It couldn't have been after game 1, right, with JR? I don't think it was that night.
It may have been.
It very well, I mean, understandably could have been. He must have gone in after that J.R. Smith game. He must have gone into that press conference like, I am going to get absolutely like gunned down alive after this game, especially if he saw the picture, like him like pointing JR. He must be like, I couldn't have any less patience for this press conference. So he's already going in there like on 10. And then it was probably like, I don't know. Who's that guy who always sets him off? That old white. They should narrow it down. That old white guy at ESPN.
Well, I was about to say you're right.
Who the fuck am I thinking of?
He's got curly hair. He's kind of tall.
Yes. At least you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
As soon as that guy like opens his mouth, I think that's when like he at least saw in his peripheral where his glasses were. So he's like, all right, I know I can get these in one reach. He finished his question, puts the glasses on, stands up, grabs his little handbag. And the best part is like the camera just caught the whole thing in one shot. So it was just such a petty little guy just walking out of the press conference. We really need to do a whole episode on just like the best like press conferences or like uncomfortable press conferences. There's so many, dude. The great one of like, I think it's an old one. It was like Jerry Tarkanian, right? And fuck's that other guy? I think Jerry Tarkanian like interrupted someone's press conference and just like yelled at him, and he like got in a fight and came off. Anytime a player leaves a press conference is so good. It never looks good. It just looks so petty every time.
I think the best part about that LeBron leaving one was that he couldn't go out the back. Like for some reason, the exit of that press conference was through the media.
Yeah.
So he's walking towards the camera when he's leaving. It's so good.
It really is.
And he also has that like funny kind of, he's pigeon-toed. I think pigeon-toed or duck-footed, whichever one is where the
you can't
feet
say
point
that
out. Oh, sorry.
Sorry. That out.
Apologies to the National Audubon Society, who I know listens.
No, pigeon Twitter is going to be all over you. Oh boy, not great. Anyway, we'll see if we survive that one.
Mark Schwartz.
Yeah, exactly. Mark Schwartz, ESPN. He just sinks in his chair every time. Oh
Dude,
man.
you need to look him up for when it was one of like the Warriors finals runs.
Mhm.
He asked the same question to like 7 consecutive people. I only know this because I was watching like a press conference video and
Yeah.
they just mashed up every time he asked them. He was like, "Hey, so Draymond, this is really funny." Or no, I think he asked Kawhi first. He's like, "Hey, Kawhi, Draymond's saying that he's one of the best defensive players of all time.
Yeah.
I just want your takes on that and your reaction to hearing that." And Kawhi was like, "Yeah, I'm just here to like play my game. That's cool."
Yeah.
But then he proceeded to ask the question like 10 different times.
I remember that. Yeah, he's a weirdo. I don't know why you even bother asking Kawhi Leonard questions. Like all you're gonna do is make an embarrassing like clip of yourself because he's just, I don't know, he's not going to respond to you like you're a person, which is what it is. But
Kawhi Leonard, one of the first people to get the COVID vaccination, as you can tell from his personality.
Really?
Well, he's a robot.
Oh, he actually is the COVID vaccine. His DNA is the COVID vaccine. Boy, he's a weird guy.
His teammates didn't have to get the shot because whenever you're within
contact,
like striking distance of him, yeah. Have you heard that shedding theory? I assume your wife has mentioned it.
She's actually suffering through it as we speak, but yes.
I did notice her outside, staying 6 feet and also one house away from you.
It's getting pricey having to pay a double mortgage just to simply not shed from the vaccine. Actually, I have my second shot in a couple weeks. You're fully vacued up at this point, right?
Fully vacued, and as of this coming Saturday, I'll be fully like not immune, but whatever. Maximum effectiveness, which
max vax.
Yeah,
this weekend.
I'm feeling robotic, I will say.
I was gonna say you got a little
last episode.
You sure did. You got a little extra pep in your step tonight, I think. It must be that second shot.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But hey, some people think it's okay to sell their soul to big pharma, and apparently both of us do. So here we go. Now it's got a little side effects. Government knows where I am at all times. Due to my cell phone, not due to my vaccine, but this is Joe Biden's America. Here we are.
There's not many things I wouldn't sell my soul to if we had to break it down.
Totally fair. And we will on our next episode. So that's a teaser in this business. So I think we had a couple other things on the docket. I'd rather save those and give them their due diligence later this week. Any final thoughts from you before we get out of here? I certainly hope not. Okay.
No, none from me.
All right, cool. Appreciate that. All right. For everyone else, we'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Peace.